So hello, I'm going to talk today about this new moon in Libra, which is coming up on the 26th of September, depending on where you are. That's for us in Australia. So there are a few things going on. As we know, when we have a new moon, it's the start of a new cycle, a new beginning. And this happens at 2 degrees 48 minutes in Libra. And as you can see up here in Libra, there are quite a number of things going on. With a new moon, we always have the sun and the moon together. And in fact, on the 22nd, the sun has just gone into Libra. So happy birthday for all you Librans out there. So there's a lot of Libra energy here at the moment. And even though it doesn't quite look like it, we also have the moon that's conjunct Mercury in Virgo and Venus in Virgo as well. These are out of sign conjunctions, but they're close enough. They actually are significant at this particular point in time. So there's quite a lot of energy here around all of what's going on. And in addition to that, we also have this supergalactic center, which I'm going to talk about, at 2 degrees of Libra, which is also conjunct the sun and the moon. So that's another aspect as well that's coming in that's pretty powerful at this particular point in time. Now down here in opposition in Aries, we have a number of things going on down there as well. We have Jupiter in Aries. We have two of the Kuiper belt objects, Manway at 0 of Aries and Celestia at 7 degrees of Aries. And so again, there's quite a lot of energy here coming up with this particular new moon. So it's this opposition between these two types of energy happening here in Libra and in Aries. So quite a lot of energy there at this particular point in time. In addition to that, we also have we have Mars, of course, which is going to be sitting in Gemini for about the next 6 months until early next year. And it's actually conjunct another Kuiper belt object called Algira, which I'm also going to talk about. So there's quite a lot of energy here in this chart at the moment. And with a number of these Kuiper belt objects, these were discovered only recently. And I guess what they bring is they bring big new consciousness and big new energy, which is different to what we've experienced before. So this is a very powerful time that we're moving into. So I'm going to talk about this, but this is actually quite significant in this particular sense as well. So as the sun enters Libra, and we have that Libra new moon, it's all about balancing our energy. Libra is about the scales. Libra is about balance. Libra is about peace, harmony, balance, relationships. Libra is also about justice as well, because it's the scales of justice. That's what Libra is all about. We need to look at, what is it that we're needing to balance and recalibrate within ourselves at this particular point in time. And it's also a time to probably not rush so much forward, but also to just sit and reflect a little bit about how things are actually coming into balance and what we're doing and what we need to be doing to make things flow a lot more harmoniously, because Libra is very much about harmony and peace and balance. In fact, sometimes part of the problem with Libra is that if you know many Librans, they want so much harmony and peace and balance that they do so sometimes at their own expense, in a sense, because they want to people please, they want to make everybody happy, but that's not always possible at all. So it's important to find that balance where we can actually own and value our own energy, as well as actually valuing and noticing what's going on with other people. So for Libra, the key words are love, beauty, peace, harmony, balance, relationships. So this could be a time when you're wanting to bring more beauty and balance and love into your life at this particular point in time. Libra new moon can also be a good time for beginnings of new relationships or new aspects of relationships, because Libra is very much a relationship oriented sign as such, and it's the first sign. The Libra house is where we have marriage and partnerships. So those things might be coming to the fore at this particular point in time. And so some of the other things that we're needing to look at is perhaps needing to look at and negotiating and balancing, where there's discord, where there's difficulty as well in our lives, how we're making things work. and perhaps looking at how, when there's opposition, how can we look at this, because Libra is an air sign, so it's very much able to stand back and look at things from quite an objective point of view and detach from what's going on around it and try and make decisions around that. And also with that, because the new moon is a time of planting new seeds, I suppose we're wanting to plant new seeds that are more objective, a bit more detached from what we've done before, and that becomes quite important as well. So the Sun and Moon, as I've said, are conjunct Mercury and Venus, and these are all these are Earth and air signs. Obviously, Libra is an air sign. Virgo is an earth sign. So we're trying to bring a balance here between our mental and our practical, focus. And whilst it's great to go off in the airways, it's also really important to bring that into some sort of practical reality. And Venus is also important here because Venus is in fact the ruler of Libra. And so this is a powerful time, and it could be a good time to launch something as well, or if you're working on something. So this could also be a time of completion as well. So these planets here, Mercury and Venus, are also they're forming what we call a trine to Pluto, which is down here in Capricorn. Now, Pluto is the great transformer. When Pluto comes along, it's a bit like the tower. Everything gets shaken up. So it's a very powerful time, and it's about transformation and about doing things in a new way. And so what we're doing at this particular point, because this is a trine, this is a supportive aspect, is it's actually supporting us try and find different ways to do things or step into your potential. So and look at what's happening, and it's also bringing our attention to the Libra areas of our chart. So obviously you need to know where those are, and what we're wanting to get new beginnings around, what we're wanting to pull together. And what, looking at what is with Pluto, very much looking at what are our needs, really getting down to the bottom, to the nitty gritty of what do we really, really need, or what do we need to change in those particular areas of our life. And it's important that we're looking at, ways also of how we need to improve or do things differently. So Venus in Virgo conjunct Mercury, this is problem-solving energy. And then we're analysing things here, looking at it from a space of what do we really value, what's really important to us, and what works and what doesn't work, and getting very practical about all of that as well, and also being really, really, specific. And in a sense, with that connection, that square to Pluto, we're wanting to connect to what is our truth, like what is that really at our core, and what's really, really important for us at this particular point in time. Mercury retrograde is always a good time to reflect. Also a time with a few problems with technology. Certainly I've had some this week. And it's a good time to just reflect on what's going on. And because it's conjunct Venus, which is very much about love, relationships, partnership, very much a time to look at our relationships and looking at how are we doing in our relationships, what's worthwhile in our relationships, how can we improve, more and more in our relationships, and what do we need to do differently to improve, and look at how we're traveling in all of our relationships, not just the loved ones, like business ones and all sorts of things as well. And perhaps this could be a time when we reflect on all of that and look at how can we be doing things differently as well. We also, at this time of the year and towards the end of the year, we have a lot of planets going retrograde. We have Mercury, we have Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And so because we have so many retrograde planets, it's asking us really to have a look at and reflect on where have we been and where are we going in terms of, moving forward, and what wisdom have we gained in that sense from this particular process. So that we're needing. So it's really giving us really a time for reflection around all of those things. Now, the moon is also conjunct the supergalactic center, as I've said here, at 2 degrees of Libra. And this is, and the supergalactic center has a number of galaxies attached to it. And it's enormous, really. And there could be big developments legally. And we might look at in terms of where the position of our planet in relation to the galaxy and what's going on in a broader perspective. We might be actually connecting to and really coming to terms with being not just citizens of planet Earth, but galactic citizens as well. And there's also opportunity here to really start to look at what are we going to do differently, and where are we moving to, and how is that bigger perspective coming to fall with us. Now, the moon is opposing Jupiter in Aries, so this brings with it a real Aries is very much a go-get-it sign, so it's very much bringing forward a thirst for learning. It's a good time to maybe get out, share your wisdom, meet new people, and you might want to study. The moon here in Libra also says keep it all in balance. Don't get so carried away with whatever you're doing that you forget where you need to be right now. And there's going to be some sort of energy exchange as well, where there can be new solutions you arrive at. And this is what's best for you as well as what's best for other people. Because again, we're trying to balance that perspective between Libra being all about everybody else and other relationships and external relationships, and Aries very much being about my relationship to myself and what do I need at this particular point in time. I'm not getting into that self-sacrificing energy, as well. So if you're making new relationships, this is a good time to look at what are my needs in the relationship, what do I need? And certainly I had that this morning where, I was reflecting on relationships. I pulled some cards, and one of the first ones is put your needs first. So maybe that's something you also need to hear, because it's something that came up for me too today. So it's also, it's important to be a good team player, but it's also important to not do so at the expense of everybody else, and it's not do so at the expense of your own authentic self and losing yourself in all of what that needs to be. So Jupiter is starting to operate. So Jupiter opposes this new sun and moon, and Jupiter in the early degrees of Aries is the pioneer, and Jupiter brings with it great hope, great wisdom, great expansion, and more stillness, because in a sense, wherever Jupiter is, it makes things expand. So this can be really positive, but at the same time, we need to find a sense of reflection as well in all of this. Now, Jupiter is also very close to Manway here at 0 degrees of Aries, and these Kuiper Belt objects have a long, long orbit. It takes them often 300 years to get back to where they started from. So this is a significant new beginning as well here. So Manway and his wife Vada were original creators of the cosmos and the universe, and he's supposed to be the highest archangel close to the mind of God and the highest source of divine intelligence. And he's dedicated Manway to the spiritual mission, our spiritual mission on this planet and where we need to be, and basically the triumph of light over the dark. So he's a great renewing force. And this is a great time for that new earth, that birth of that new consciousness that's coming forward at this particular point in time. Now, Jupiter is also conjunct Celestia down here. And I've talked about Celestia before, and she's mermaid energy. She shows photonic light. She's that shimmering light that's on the ocean and on the earth as well. So this is a great transformative space, and there's lots and lots of new light, lots of new downloads, and lots and lots of new light codes, especially for those of us who are open to hearing or basically open to those opportunities. We're getting upgraded quite significantly at this particular point in time, so this is really, really important. So Saturn in Aquarius is also squaring Uranus. Saturn is, of course, squaring Uranus here. And that will move out of that energy next March. But this is about, really, because we have Aquarius is about social networks and other parts, social systems. It's really helping us try and build more of those networks, but put some actual emphasis and focus into that as well, because Saturn is quite a disciplined energy. So it's good to be realistic and practical, and there are lots of new networks being developed out there as well. New health networks, new networks around creating a new earth, around agriculture, etc. So this is all happening as well. And this is, and also there'll be issues here with Saturn and Uranus around centralization of government, etc., because Saturn is very much about authority, tradition, whereas Uranus is about freedom. Uranus is like the great, Uranus shakes things up when it comes along. So there's going to possibly be a lot more shake-ups and things going on. Perhaps because it's in Taurus, we might see some changes around agriculture, around earthquakes, around the financial markets, but this is all continuing. So, and natural resources as well as the internet. So this is important. So we also have Mars in Gemini up here. So of course, Mars and Gemini. Mars is that very, very energetic, dynamic sort of fire sign, and in Gemini, it's about the mind. So it's very much about mind, communication, social media, creativity. So, and we're looking at what we're needing to learn and communicate a lot better at this particular point in time, and what needs to be said. But with Libra, we're also trying to find balance around what needs to be said in our relationships, but also being harmonious and peaceful and fair. Because the other thing Libra is, because it is those scales, it's very fair and balanced in communication, and also looking at, what does and doesn't work, in all sorts of relationships as well. Whether that be love, business, family, friends, whatever. So Mars is also forming a T-squared in Neptune and Venus and Mercury. So this can bring a great deal of imagination, love, beauty, aesthetics, as well as this. But I guess one of the things when we have Neptune involved is Neptune is very dreamy and very much imaginative, and that's beautiful, but not always very practical. So we need to sort of bring some practicality into that sort of space as well, so that we're not all just generating lots and lots of ideas, but we're actually being quite practical in that space. So Mercury obviously rules Gemini. It's in Virgo, so there's a lot here. There's a lot of mental energy here, and it's important to take a step back, look at things perhaps from a higher perspective, and perhaps think about where are we going to be, and play the observer here, not just jump into things. And with that Neptune energy, sometimes things can get a bit murky, it can be a bit cloudy, because Neptune is a bit sort of, it's a bit, it's a bit dreamy, so it's a bit imaginative, which is great, but we need to figure out what's real and what's not. So we need to get that sense of mental clarity, and because Mercury's up here in Virgo, and Virgo tends to be very practical oriented, very detail oriented. That's that particular sign, and it's very good at putting things in place, routines and structures. So we'll be starting to pull that together, so that our ideas can start to not just expand and go all over the place, but they can actually be pulled together in a way that actually really can be make something quite constructive, and something quite positive as well. So we also have Mars conjunct Algira, which is this dwarf planet up here. And they're both at 18 degrees. And Algira was the creator god in the myth of the Arente people, the Aboriginal people. And the whole myth is about walking the soul lines, going on the big dreaming, walking on the big dreaming, making the unmanifest manifest, and bringing manifestation and matter out of the spiritual pilgrimage by walking the big dreaming, walking the Aboriginal song lines. So this is actually really, really, really quite an important time as well, to be really connecting, I think, not only to the song lines based on the Aboriginal song lines, but also I think very much connect to our own song lines as well, wherever they may be, and our own sense of heritage and purpose as well. And Mars is also in Gemini, forming a trine with Saturn in Aquarius. So this is a very positive thing, because this is going to help, because it's a trine, and trines are very supportive elements. This is going to help, the plans you're ready to take on and get moving with, actually start to get moving, and short-term projects and things on your to-do list. This might be a really good time to get stuff done. And Saturn basically will help you bring that all together, so that it's a very, very positive aspect for you as well. With this new moon, it could bring, as I've said, a new romantic cycle, new relationships, new things, relationships could restart. And it could bring things back into balance. For those people who are in some sort of relationship, this could bring a positive outcome in terms of, maybe a marriage proposal, which could be really, really lovely. But I think the thing with Libra is to, in all of these relationships, to very much come from a place of heart and wanting to connect with people very deeply and very lovingly. And it's a very important time to work through those relationships, so we can have, new relationships coming into our lives, which bring us balance and peace and harmony, and allow us to also discover aspects of ourselves at this time. So a very positive new moon. So I hope that you have you enjoy this new moon, and this new moon brings you many, many great blessings. Bye for now.